me.
What's up, guys? So this is gonna be a breakdown of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Super Bowl trailer, and let's jump into it. Here we go. Damon, what you doing back there, buddy? Right. Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson. We have a new trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, giving us a new look at Adam Warlock, the High Evolutionary, and our Guardians. And of course, we're going to break down everything that we saw in this brand new trailer. And there has even been a new official synopsis released that gives us a little bit more insight on what the movie is about, and it helps us clarify some of these scenes as well. So let's first start off with the synopsis, then break down the trailer. It reads, in Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, our beloved band of misfits are settling into life on Nowhere. Now, quick pause right here, because if you did not watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, you might not know that the Guardians purchased Nowhere from the collector. So Nowhere now belongs to the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's where their base is now.
I did
so the
watch
Guardians
it.
are sitting all comfy in Nowhere, but then the synopsis continues to read, but it isn't long before their lives are appended by the echoes of Rocket's turbulent past.
Oh, we did
Peter
find
Quill,
out.
still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around him on a dangerous mission to save Rocket's life.
What's her name is
that,
his sister.
if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. So this synopsis gets very, very specific, and it tells us that the Guardians are going to have to save Rocket's life. Now, who do they have to save Rocket's life from? Well, kind of three different people. As most know, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Rocket double-crossed the Sovereign. He stole the Harbulary batteries from them.
What are they called again?
Harbulary
batteries. Harbulary batteries.
Harbulary.
That's nothing like what I just said.
We're so blessed they didn't kill you.
You're telling me. You want to buy some batteries?
Because he stole Anulak's batteries.
They're called Harbulary batteries.
No, they're not.
This resulted in the Sovereign's army chasing after the Guardians. Luckily, and also eventually not so luckily, Ego found them and helped them out, until he eventually tried to kill them all and the entire universe. But the Sovereign was defeated, and this really made Aisha mad, and it made her create a new specimen, Adam. And now she is sending Adam to go and fetch Rocket. So Aisha / the Sovereign and Adam Warlock are two people that Rocket has to worry about, and they really are kind of the same organization. However, we're going to talk about how Adam Warlock is going to go away from the Sovereign in just a bit. But the other person that he has to worry about is the High Evolutionary, and this is who I believe actually ends up with Rocket at the end. The High Evolutionary is the person who created Rocket, against his will, might I add. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, when Rocket was fighting with Drax and the rest of the Guardians, he said, "I didn't ask to get made."
He thinks I'm some stupid thing. He does. Well, I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over and turned into some little monster. Rocket, no one's calling you a monster. He called me vermin.
So the person who tore him apart and put him back together over and over again is the High Evolutionary who we see in this trailer. And we even get scenes of Rocket as a baby being experimented on. And just judging by these scenes and how this movie is kind of feeling, you know it's going to be super sad. So since the Guardians of the Galaxy have to rescue Rocket Raccoon, and since we find them in this trailer in the prison of the High Evolutionary, then in the High Evolutionary's base, I'm assuming that the High Evolutionary gets his hands on Rocket and is holding Rocket prisoner. Now, the High Evolutionary in the comics is all about, you guessed it, evolution. He begins on Earth as a normal person, then he begins experimenting on animals. Eventually, he figures out a way to basically evolve animals to where they are still animals but are more like humans. They can talk and they can understand language.
That's what Spider-Man Unlimited was all about.
Now, eventually, he does end up leaving Earth with his experiments, and he lands on a planet and creates a place called Counter-Earth, and it looks exactly like Earth. The only difference is his experiments populate it.
Spider-Man goes
saw
to
in the previous trailer
the High Evolutionary's planet.
They land in the suburbs, but everybody there is essentially an evolved animal. This is the scene that I believe we see in this new trailer where the Guardians are coming upon Earth. I don't think it's actually Earth. I think it's Counter-Earth, and they're looking very
It
strangely
does look
at it
so
because
familiar,
it looks
and I knew it
exactly
was
like
familiar.
Earth, but it's
This
a
is
planet very, very far away
Spider-Man
from Earth.
Unlimited, dude.
Now, the trailer actually starts off with a scene with Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, drinking alone. This is because he is still extremely sad that the Gamora that he knew and loved died. In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos sacrificed Gamora, the one that he loved, for the Soul Stone. And yes, Gamora is kind of back, but of course she is from that other timeline that the other Thanos came from in Avengers Endgame. She stuck around in our timeline and is now, based off of what we saw from previous trailers that were only showed at San Diego Comic-Con, we know that Gamora is now the leader of the Ravengers. So that's why we see Gamora with the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's sort of how they team back up. How did this happen to Gamora? How did she become the leader of a Ravenger faction, or maybe the entire thing? Unsure right now, we'll have to wait and see about that, but it does bring Gamora back into Quill's life, back into all of the Guardians' lives. But she is not the same. We cut to a scene where the Guardians are in a prison of the High Evolutionaries. Gamora, Nebula, and Star-Lord are in some type of an elevator, and we know it's the prison of the High Evolutionary because we see one of his workers there wearing the white coat. Star-Lord explains that he formed the Guardians, he fell in love with Gamora, she died, and then she kind of came back, but we know how Star-Lord and the rest of them seem to feel about this new Gamora.
Fell in love. That girl died, but then she came back. Came back a total dick.
Oh, please. He left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
And even Nebula agrees, so this Gamora is very different. Also, side note, the very final scene of this trailer shows Gamora, Quill, and Nebula all together, where Gamora says, "Whoever you were in love with sounds more like her," pointing to Nebula. The two of them both say, "Yeah, right, that would never happen," but then we catch Quill staring at Nebula. Nebula says, "Knock it off," but Quill says he never noticed how black her eyes were. She, of course, explains that Thanos ripped out her original eyes and put those in as a form of torture, but Quill says he picked a nice set, implying that Star-Lord might actually kind of be into Nebula. Now, I don't think this is actually going to happen. I don't think Star-Lord and Nebula are going to get together. However,
I think it was
don't
just
think
a joke.
Gamora,
It's just
this
a
new
joke.
one, and Peter Quill are going to get together either. I don't see the movie ending that way, especially if you consider the fact that in the comics, Adam Warlock and Gamora got together, and they are introducing Adam Warlock in this movie.
Oh,
Now, I'm
darn.
not saying that's going to happen in this movie, but we know some of the Guardians of the Galaxy are sticking around, and a new team is
Quill.
going to be formed, most likely with Adam Warlock on it. And if Gamora sticks around, and she probably will because she's a leader of the Ravengers, she'll also be on that team, and Star-Lord probably isn't going to be on that team. So Adam and Gamora will be together. So that might happen down the road. And I'm not even sure Star-Lord is going to survive this film. Now, the prison that they're in, you may notice it looks kind of weird. And this is due to the experiments of the High Evolutionary. The building seems to be somewhat combined with
they're gonna kill
flesh.
off
So this
Star-Lord.
is a definite experiment from the High Evolutionary.
We
Now,
gotta
in
get
this
rid
trailer,
of.
we see the
We gotta get
Guardians
rid
kind
of
of
Chris.
fighting to break out of this prison.
Chris
and I
Pratt.
actually think we can kind of
That's
see
what
the
Disney's
scene where
thinking.
Drax gets shot through his chest. If you take a look at this scene at 1 minute 32 seconds, we can see Drax throw somebody really far. He then raises his arms and yells, but behind him, to his left, we see one of the security people of the prison with a giant gun in his hand. The next scene that we see is the Guardians carrying Drax out of the prison with a huge hole in his chest. So I'm pretty sure that this guard in the background, when Drax is celebrating, simply just shoots him from behind. Now, this scene is most likely not towards the very end, and we do see Drax in scenes in the trailer that do kind of seem like they are towards the end, so I don't think he actually dies here. However, I do think he is going to die in the film. Now, we do have a scene where Adam Warlock is on Counter-Earth. He is flying through the suburbs that look a lot like regular Earth, looking for Rocket. And in this scene, we actually see Gamora running away with a hurt Rocket in her hand. We also have a scene that shows Groot jumping on Adam Warlock, trying to fight him as well. Now, Marvel Studios did come out and tell us that Adam Warlock is essentially going to be like a child in the movie. After all, in this movie, he's basically going to be kind of just born from his cocoon. Now, since he was made in a cocoon, he obviously grows faster, or they made him simply as an adult. However, his mind, Marvel confirmed, is still very much like a child. He is still learning a lot of things. So right now, the Sovereign has Adam Warlock searching for Rocket and the Guardians of the Galaxy. However, I think as the movie goes on and he learns and he gets to know the Guardians a little bit more, he's going to turn good, because Adam Warlock is a good guy for the most part. in the comics. Now, I've had the same theory for a very long time that the High
How is he
Evolutionary
gonna
has
get this,
actually
the
created the Sovereign.
Mind
The Sovereign
Stone
is all
on
about
his
evolution, and that's what the High Evolutionary is about. So the Sovereign could be getting
forehead?
Rocket Raccoon for the High Evolutionary, and Adam Warlock could capture Rocket and then deliver him to the High Evolutionary. And that's how all of these different parties, the Sovereign, the High Evolutionary, Adam Warlock, and the Guardians all kind of come together and are all connected by the end of the film. But again, I think by the end of the film, Adam Warlock is going to turn good, and he's going to help the Guardians defeat the Sovereign and the High Evolutionary. Now, one final note, it is worth noting that the High Evolutionary does experiment on himself as well, as we can see here in these trailers. There are some scenes where he kind of looks like he's a half man, half machine. The back half of his head is missing. And what I'm assuming is happening here is when we see him where his head looks normal, those are flashbacks to where he experimented on Rocket and the other animals, like we see his girlfriend Lila in this trailer as well. And she has a robotic arm. So I think these scenes are in the past, even though we do know that Rocket and Lila are going to reunite together again in this film. And hopefully that is Rocket's happy ending. He doesn't die, but he gets to go and live his life with Lila. But like I said, sadly, we do know that some of the Guardians are
Why
probably
doesn't Peter
going to
get a
die.
happy
If you have
ending,
any
huh?
predictions, be sure
Disney?
to let us know yours
Huh,
in the
Marvel?
comments down below. I'm thinking that Drax dies and possibly Star-Lord, but not too sure about the Star-Lord. So let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like the video and
Yeah, it sounds, he's probably got the right idea. I mean, he does have, he is a Disney Marvel insider. He would know. He would have the inside scoop. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and all that, and follow me on Twitch as well. I'm gonna start streaming to both YouTube and Twitch though, so one night it'll be a Twitch stream, and then the next night it'll be a YouTube stream. And yeah, peace out, guys.